Morning, welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be talking about the science behind the Magu Magu no Mi, or Akainu's devil fruit. Let's do the video. Okay, so there has been 3 abilities that I have actually classified for the Magu Magu no Mi, and they're pretty damn overpowered, if I do say so myself. Okay, so the first one is he can actually have the ability of pretty much generating a magnetic field whenever he feels like it. Let me just give you a little bit of context on how that is actually possible. Basically, the effect is caused by magnetic seeback, or seebeck, however you want to pronounce it, and or it's called thermomagnetism, and that is caused by heat going across a conductor. Now, the majority of things that are actually a form of magma is the majority of it is iron or magnesium. This is actually quite prevalent in magma, so to speak, and obviously as it's the Magu Magu no Mi or the Magma Magma fruit, you've got quite a lot of iron inside of you, so you're obviously generating a lot of heat when you're actually generating your magma powers, so to speak. So even in a very small amount going across that iron that's completely fluctuating and all that jazz of the iron going around with the heat, it generates an actual small magnetic field. Now, bring this up to the level of how much heat and iron that he could actually use for the conductor, and with the heat that goes along with his magma, he could actually generate a magnetic field as much as he really wanted to be honest. Depends on how much he actually formates the iron around and all that jazz, which will then produce the magnetic field to make it stronger or weaker. This reminds me of something along the lines of Eustace F's Kids, and he has the ability of a magnet fruit. So Akainu can do that too, but have to produce a 10-ton of magma in order to do it though. That is the only drawback, and the amount of magma that you would actually have to produce in order to create a strong magnetic field would be... So this would actually be able to create a strong magnetic field if he could actually tighten the atoms around. Now, if he's well adept with his devil fruit, and it was actually going to work, then he could create a strong magnetic field with that, but other than that, it would just be a very minute, weak magnetic field going around. But I just thought I'd cover this one at first. Going into our next one, he has the ability of creating unlimited armor and or weapons. And let me just tell you this one, for instance. Okay, so igneous rocks are formed when magma cools within the crust of the Earth and or the planet, also known as plutons. I just wanted to put that in there just for the reason of world-destroying ancient weapon, Pluton, and it just came up as plutons, and I was like, ah, that just sounded pretty cool. But other than that, a lot of the minerals that are actually produced from the magma cooling, as opposed to intrusive and extrusive rocks, contain certain different types of metals and or minerals. One of the intrusive igneous rocks that are actually produced from magma is granite, and we know this one from countertops and all that jazz. So yeah, it's not really that amazing. He can create some really strong, brittle rock, is what I'm trying to say with the first one. So he could create rock armor. So Mr. Vegapunk, that's pretty shit, right? No, not necessarily. Depends on the rock. So when I was digging up igneous rocks, I looked at extrusive rocks, and I found that basalt is very high in iron. Now, when this cools, this has a very high amount of iron and magnesium in it, which means he could produce some form of weaponry. This means that he can either use molten metal in order to fight with, and or be able to create armor, so to speak, because he can shape the magma to wherever he likes, so he could just bring out a load of it, and as he cools it, he could pretty much make a battleship, so to speak. So if he's ever stranded on an island, he could definitely use his magma powers to mold a magma boat, and pretty much just wait till it cools down, or just chuck some water on it maybe, I don't really know. And it would literally just make a metal boat, so to speak. Obviously, it would be made out of basalt, so yeah, no. But most of the rocks that come from volcanoes and all that stuff, which is lava, not magma, but it's still the same type of stuff because he is using the magma fruit, but as soon as it comes in contact with the air, it starts to become lava. So I'm going to count that right now. So not only does he produce magma, he produces lava at the same time. So he produces a lot of porous rocks, which have a lot of air pockets in it. So he could actually technically make a ship that is buoyant enough in order to sail across the ocean, and he'd be absolutely fine. Other than that, he could mould all of the metal into weaponry, such as a sword or a spear, in order to fight with. This would be pretty cool as, yeah, imagine that, like his hound attack, and then he just makes it into an actual metal fist weapons. That'd be badass as hell, and I think that would be overpowered. Other than that, he does have an amazing ability, which is molten speed, and this goes into a little bit of thermodynamics, and this states that one of the laws of thermodynamics is basically you use a piece of heat, and then you use another piece of heat, and pieces of heat meet, which cause an equilibrium in order to pretty much just cause a mass amount of pressure. This is how your actual car engine works. So when he actually got punched into the ground, when at the Battle of Marineford, it was very, very, very true that he could just go into the rocks and use the pressure from both of his legs, two things, which caused an equilibrium in order to create enough pressure for him to literally just shoot out of the actual rock. And obviously because he's magma, he can literally molten everything around him pretty damn fast. The actual temperature in which he can actually produce his magma at is around about 700 to 1300 degrees Celsius and or 1300 to 2400 Fahrenheit. I was going to do Kelvin, but I think Celsius and Fahrenheit would just give you guys a good idea of how hot he actually is. But other than that, his devil fruit's overpowered. Like, come on, he rains down molten magma upon you. And not only that, he can have some insane abilities as well with this. Like, imagine if he made, like, enough magma in order to just create an island that was just boiling hot or something along those lines. Do you get what I was saying? Like, his devil fruit has a lot of capabilities as opposed to just being able to produce magma. Like, he could use this in a very, very good way and make like a battle axe. And to be honest, Akainu with a battle axe or a war axe would kind of remind me of Darius from League of Legends. So that would be pretty cool. But other than that, the amount of pressure that he can produce with his molten speed could literally work on the air as well. Just depends on how fast he can actually propel his magma in order to fly. He could actually do this as a jump start as well in order to get up into the air and then use Geppo to stay in the air, because you would still need to produce that amount of magma at the same time, and obviously for fighting you can't do one or the other all the time. So that is why I think it would be a really cool way in which he could actually use his fighting style. But other than that, guys, have I forgotten anything about magma or lava that I need to know about? Obviously we covered thermomagnetism, a little bit of thermodynamics, and or we also talked about the igneous rocks and plutons and the mass amounts of iron that he can produce. Not only that, with the magnesium he could literally blind you kind of as well. That's just one off the top of my head, because magnesium, when it's lit, can produce a very, very bright light, and it really does hurt. If you guys have ever had arc eye, that is pretty much what it is. But other than that, guys, have a lovely rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video next Saturday. Have a lovely rest of the day, guys. Bye.